Hello truth seekers, you are watching the best of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and today we are going to be digging up the shocking truths about the fancy world of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Good to be back with all of you yet again. The upper echelons have some turbulence for you today. King Charles III and the proud boys of the royal circle are erupting in DEF-CON 1 salvos of fury. In fact, palace sources tell me that His Majesty has had it up to here with the perennial whining, childish behavior of his disgraceful younger son Prince Harry and his American wife Meghan Markle. The monarch is not merely livid, he is enraged over their continued security dramas. If you haven't already, please take the time to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Trust us when we say you will not want to miss what is in store. This couple have launched wave after wave of press releases, stunts, and exaggerated slights, all in pursuit of column inches in an increasingly misleading smear campaign. The incessant attacks from them on the integrity of the British people has thus far been met by an impressive display of restraint and dignity from the royal family. But Palace Insider prepare with the news how to withdraw in King Charles did not take his son and daughter-in-law. He is said to have given uncommon vent to his anger over reports that have seen them complain bitterly in recent weeks about their security plans for tours of the UK. As reported by a Buckingham insider, the king said that the grifting embarrassments are going full Canada. The incredibly undignified outburst, which took place at what is usually a quiet morning briefing, left those in the monarch's own household staff reeling. No wonder he had a very cut and dry response, Your Majesty. For years, he has watched his own son taint the Windsors' name through a strategy of lies and conspiracies, all encouraged by their wife's insatiable need for fame and constant victimization. Time and again, Charles has had to watch as his son tarnishes the crown and alienates the British public which once embraced him. This has leached naked the humanitarian work of Charles himself, while the certain person, seen by his detractors as arrogant and clueless, goes on to take the spotlight for the wrong reasons, making the entire royal family work futile. At the same time that England required a steady hand, and a sense of national togetherness in the face of a difficult year, Harry's lawsuit against the Home Office for a security protocol allowance that was already more than generous was simply a step too far. Taking a sweetheart home and security brief from the royal family before whining just how privileged they believe they have been sounds downright dismissive and rude to the United States that Charles, and all the monarchs before him, swore their lives to do. Well, good, understand all of them. In its defense, we can say that the behavior of the king towards this issue is justified. And in the same vein, which fictional universe does this obnoxious entitlement and refusal to take responsibility for anything that goes pear-shaped effectively aid your endeavors to decide how to apportion governmental resources, never mind the same obligations for your own flesh and blood that you have pretty much locked up in the pantry, which you have been purposefully conditioning for fiscal exploitation for the last 3 years? The arrogance of these two pathologically self-absorbed narcissists, using their local birthrights as leverage to extort concessions from British taxpayers, then making bad faith demands to soak up even more public funding for frivolous media tours rather than actual security needs. It would push anyone with a soul past their boiling point eventually. Even someone as seemingly endless in patience as King Charles. So if the leaks are accurate and such an unceremonious verbal lashing did indeed get rained down on the petulant prince and pouting princess from on high, then honestly it was richly earned and long overdue in my books. Sometimes harsh truth bombings like that are necessary shocks to the system. For hopeless egomaniacs who've completely lost touch with any semblance of respectable public reality. Harry and Meghan are absolute personifications of immaturity and delusion at this point. A pair of self-aggrandizing, utterly deranged narcissists who seem convinced the entire world was constructed solely to spin around their sad little rich kid persecution complexes ad infinitum. Well, I've got a wake-up call to administer to these two contemptible half-wits and the sliver of defenders still enabling their fatuous griffins. The British people will no longer indulge your spoiled tantrums against tradition or prop up your taxpayer-funded delusions of grandeur. These latest High Court shenanigans, now potentially prolonging the legal saga and security headaches for years to come, represent both the height of offended privilege toward a nation that once embraced you and a new ethical nadir for the Mountbatten Marco grotesquerie circus as a whole. One too far by the sound of those rumbling royal charges. Because at the core of their relentless persecution posturing lies an unavoidable reality. Both of these wastrels have willingly abdicated any remnants of reputation or public goodwill that their royal associations once automatically afforded. When you betray the public trust so repeatedly and willfully as they have, you forfeit the civic luxuries it provides prima facie. Harry's done far worse to torch his national image than any other member of the Windsor clan could ever dream of, through mere accidents or scandals. Through years of cynical media manipulation, lies, and petty feuding with his own flesh and blood, all for shameless self-enrichment, he signed the royal standard to an image of perpetual self-parody now, beyond even the late Princess Di's most paranoid suspicions. Meanwhile, Meghan, that obscenely overrated American grifter Hollywood never wanted, has somehow managed to become an even more universally despised figure than her desperate husband amongst actual UK civilians. A contemptible legacy of race-baiting, immaturity, and total absence of humility that will forever tar her as an emblematic cultural parasite. So to see these two mutually self-immolating punchlines now try fruitlessly holding the Home Office hostages for even more taxpayer security windfalls is just insulting at this point. It's blatantly clear they don't actually fear safety concerns so much as relish an opportunity to stoke more outrage PR cycles with zero stakes for themselves involved. More self-serving propaganda for them to craft against their few remaining corporate media protectors and hangers-on. Watch how fast Meghan effectively bans all trips to the UK, where the security has to be super expensive if you look at the numbers she was throwing around from before. Compare this to our King Charles, and Queens, William and Kate in the UK, who show true class and courage. The real royals bear risk and work to support humanitarian causes around the world on behalf of the British people, instead of sitting at their Los Angeles mansions delivering speeches in return for Netflix contracts. This points to the contrast between the egocentric endeavors of individuals like Harry and Meghan and the genuine sense of duty and majesty evoked by their earlier counterparts. One is defined by service to the nation and its citizens over personal interest, and the other is an ever-expanding organism in a tireless pursuit of massive self-promotion. And it is all very well for King Charles to be exasperated with his son's cavalier attitude to life and death issues of security if indeed he should be fed up and chooses to express his displeasure in public. His Majesty ought to be commended for giving these two columns of shame the appropriate dressing down. Parsing through decorum and revealing the ugly facts about Harry and Meghan's massive destruction of the royal institution. Their behavior is a reflection of the core of who they are, flawed, autonomous people who will do whatever it takes to dismantle the monarchy in order to feed their massive egos and appetite for the spotlight. These people are such narcissists that no amount of hand-holding and diplomatic efforts will ever change what they are. If Charles chooses to use his influence and really call out the two, and cut ties, I'm fine with that. Harry and Meghan had better wake up, and everybody else in their camp too. Notice to the Duke and Duchess, courtesy of bygone age is cancelled now. The British public must rise up against them. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more amazing stories and discoveries. Be sure to get updates on the royal family by subscribing to the Chicago Speech Examiner. Thank you for watching, and we will be back with more interesting updates soon. Goodbye.